welcome to the Bear Hug Club, a pro wrestling podcast of positivity.
Hello everybody, it's Wednesday, it's 6:30 p.m. GMT, which means it's time for Wednesday Night Paw. Greg here once again, this time joined by Scott at the moment. Hello, Scott.
Hey, it's me.
How's it going, my friend?
Oh, you know, it's going.
We both had a bit of a chat about our coffee-riddled bodies because we're both feeling a bit tired today, but I'm feeling a bit more revved up now that we're live. Jace should be joining us. We're just not sure when he's going to be popping in. Whatever.
Typical champion behavior.
Absolute prima donna. I've been saying this for a while now. It's getting to his head, you see. One of us needs to take it from him.
Absolutely. If there was some kind of D&D quiz, I've got him. I got it in the bag. Easy.
Garrett isn't joining us. Unfortunately, he is busy tonight, so it's just going to be the three of us once Jace eventually gets here. As we announced the other day, today we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite women's matches in wrestling. Really looking forward to this one. I don't think we've done a top 5 since before Mania, so it's good to be back doing this one. But until Jace gets here, well, we've got some breaking news, kind of. So literally, maybe an hour or so before we went live.
Yeah, I think that some of the tweets are as far back as Tommy N's tweet. Spoilers was 59 minutes ago as of this moment.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as Scott alluded to there, WWE's released more talent. So this comes off the back of they already did a string of talent releases, which we did an in-depth episode on. What was that, about a month ago now?
Yeah.
It's been an ongoing process, and then since then they've been doing the usual release of backstage figures. Some even short ones like some announcers, a lot of on-screen talent other than wrestlers as well.
35 people in the graphics team or something like that. That's just 35 people just without a job, click of the finger kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like WWE has just been going ballistic this year. I mean, last year we thought it was bad. It seems like this year it's already feeling a lot worse. But yeah, more talent was released, and it's some very surprising names. I think that first list there was 1 or 2, but a lot of them you could kind of understand why. This one in particular, though, is very shocking. So the biggest one there is probably Braun Strowman. I've got a little bit of a recent update to go on him in a minute. Aleister Black, Lana, Murphy, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett. Thoughts when you first saw the name, Scott? What immediately came to mind?
Now, a lot of people are surprised by Aleister Black, and I'm really not. No, like a lot of people are like, oh no, but he's getting repackaged. So I was like, yeah, but how long was that gonna last? Aleister Black has genuinely been repackaged 3 times. They never last. They never last longer than maybe a match or 2, and then he disappears for a little while longer. Then the recurring questions come back. Where is Aleister Black? Why isn't he wrestling so and so or so and so? Why have they got nothing planned for this amazing kicky bloke covered in tattoos? It's stupid to me that WWE had Tommy End and
Tommy fucking End. Yeah,
Tommy fucking End. The guy. I know WWE is very much a look company. You got to have the look. We've always known that. It's almost like something we come to expect in that company. How do you not get more unique a look than Tommy fucking End? Come on. I guess the whole Selena Vega thing doesn't help either.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to wonder how much that did impact it, but I agree. NXT knew what they had with Tommy fucking End. He was basically one of their biggest stars for the main point. And again, everyone with those eyes from what he did in that company thought, he'll go at the main roster. He should do well. And at first, he was fairly featured prominently. I mean, it was a bit weird because it was him and Ricochet in a tag team for a bit. And then Yeah, it just slowly fizzled out, and then he was just off TV forever. They finally started teasing him back. I think a lot of people are shocked because he did have that big return, and it looked like he was going to feud with Big E. And it looks like finally they're going to be doing something with this guy because he's skilled in the ring. He knows how to do a good promo, and he clearly was getting really invested in this Dark Father character. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, you're gone. But it still doesn't shock me. I think because he wasn't on TV for so long, part of me would he have wanted to leave, because he is a very passionate wrestler. I just kind of think maybe it was a mutual thing, but then looking at his Twitter, even he looked like he was blindsided by this release.
Yeah. He said it caught him left field, to quote, which is, like, so dumb. It's something about, like, I mean, what a way to find out, like, just suddenly, straight away, you hear rumors of... It must be so scary working as, like, WWE talent and being like, oh my god, there's rumors that there's going to be releases. I've not been on TV a lot recently. I hope it's not me. Let alone someone who has been on TV being like, okay, it shouldn't be me. I should be good. This is why the main name on this list that shocks me and is guaranteed to shock you too is Braun, because the man had a world title match at the latest pay-per-view. Everyone was expecting it to kind of be a little bit bad, and it wasn't. And tell you what, the same with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. Everyone was kind of expecting his cage match because of the build with Shane McMahon to be bad, but it genuinely, I loved the match.
Yeah,
I kind of did.
I did.
Like, and like, he should have been nowhere near. I think I did a little bit. I looked into it a little bit and found out that he'd recently signed like a multi-year contract, earning $1 million a year.
I've got an article up about that. So yeah, I did the same thing when I was waiting. Apparently, the reports saying people aren't surprised Braun's let go, because it seems a lot of this is obviously cost-cutting measures on WWE's behalf. And yeah, apparently what happened was back in 2019 he signed a monster deal, and it went very down to the wire. And you're right, he signed a multi-year deal that was worth about $1 million a year, and that is an incredible deal even now to get in WWE. So it's clear that back then they must have thought he was worthy of that, and then now they're just cost cutting down. In regards to it, a lot of the rumors seem to be speculating that WWE is gearing up to sell the company.
Yeah, and I'm calling it now. It's going to be Disney.
So you think this could be it? This could be them just cashing out and giving it to someone like Disney or Netflix. I don't fucking know.
Genuinely, somehow that's the lesser of the two evils that I have in my head, because it's either that and, like, they give it to a company. Let's say, for instance, it is Disney. They will take it, drive it into a sort of Marvel-esque sort of direction, get like a new writing team. It might be the kick in the ass that WWE might need, because they are stale.
Yes.
However, the second thing, is that they are just trying to protect their shares and are trying to drive up their shares. Yeah, which is also very possible.
I mean, when you look back at last year, they made these big releases, and in many respects, that contributed to them having one of the most financially successful years last year, because they had that, and obviously they had the $1 billion deal with Peacock. Like, I'm with you. Like, it could, like, at the moment, it seems like most people are thinking they are looking to sell up, which would be quite shocking. But then I can also see that maybe that this is just more of their way of trying to make sure they have another successfully financial year. And maybe they've got some other deal in the pipeline we don't know about. Because I mean, these deals take a while to set up. It's not something that's just done overnight. Like, usually it's months worth of preparation and negotiation. I mean, because the thing is, like, when the Peacock deal happened, a lot of people were thinking they're going to try that same kind of deal in other countries, because we obviously still get the network as is, but that doesn't mean they could easily maybe, I don't know, sell off to BT Sport and they could have their own streaming thing, whatever, things like that. So maybe something else like that's coming along. But I mean, imagine a world if Disney Plus owned the WWE network. I wouldn't need another subscription, because I already got a subscription. That'd be great.
Already covered. All I'm saying is that the best thing that could come out of this thing that's happened today, the firings that have come before, is that Disney will redo the Rock and Roller Coaster, so it'll be WWE themed. And you know what? I'm kind of fine with that.
They've just got rid of Braun. That's like the Strowman Express.
Oh,
right
there. Yeah.
Fucking
or maybe with that sweet Mickey Mouse money, they can hire him back.
Oh yeah, I mean, the House of Mouse could just basically be like, we're going to buy up all the wrestling. I mean, I've someone on our Instagram mentioned this, and they said they wouldn't like a big corporation like Disney to have it. And I can understand people who aren't a fan of these corporations buying up everything, but generally Disney's got a good track record because they kind of, in some regards, they do strip things back a little bit to keep that family vibe, but WWE's always kind of that level, and I think when they do buy up stuff, they at least try and keep it as its own thing. It's like when you see a Marvel film, you don't see the Disney Castle logo, it's Marvel Studios. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They keep things as their own brand. So I think if they, because I mean, they already own stuff like ESPN, so they've got sports networks already under the banner. I feel like they would let WWE keep going, and it's a weird thing. So I mean, if they did sell off, I'd have to wonder if Vince is still going to try and stay within the company, because this is the thing people don't realize, that he's got board of directors and stuff like that, but from what I've read over the years, he's smart in how he's done that. So even though you've got these people with percentage ownership, it's very small and he still has the majority, which is why he has still so much power. So I don't know if you try and broker a deal around that.
I think no matter who will end up with WWE, what they're doing now with all these releases is just gaining leverage over their value. So at some point, Vince is going to go, look at this very profitable company with a loyal audience. And God, you got to be loyal if you're still watching Raw at this point. So like, yeah, no, it's like here's a company with a loyal audience, and it makes money and it gets viewers. Here it is. It's for sale. Oh, but by the way, I still got to keep my creative control because I'm a McMahon. So like, that's exactly how it's gonna go.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of thinking back to the releases then. I feel like maybe this is something we could, like we did with the last lot, we could do maybe an episode next week discussing them, like a bit like we did last time. I've got a feeling there's going to be more to come, though. I feel like this is just, again, another tip of the iceberg. I feel like more is going to be coming off maybe as we're recording, maybe in the next day or so. Do you feel like this is it, or do you think there's going to be more coming?
There's going to be more. I think that like the fact that they've not even stepped to NXT UK yet. I think if I'm to be any member of that roster, even fucking after seeing Braun Strowman released, I'm even concerned for fucking Walter. Like I even the champs should be looking over their shoulder at names like these and be like, oh fuck, like. Yeah, they've already showed they're not scared of tearing apart Imperium by already getting rid of Alexander Wolf. Like, that's the champion's stable. So like that would have been like firing Bobby Fish out of when Undisputed Era still had like some of the belts. So I think they'll go for NXT UK next, but there still will be some names from the main roster. Some names I definitely don't want to see fired, but people like Lana, Murphy, and Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett, who we haven't mentioned expressly quite yet. I can picture literally all of them succeeding elsewhere, possibly apart from Braun Strowman, weirdly enough, because he did slag off the Indies quite a bit recently, so he's got a bit of no.
He was a loyal WWE boy to a fault. It's like Seth Rollins. Like if he ever got released, he said a lot of bad things about a lot of other companies. So it'd be interesting where he would have ended up. But I doubt he would get cut. I think he's pretty safe. But yeah, honestly, all these names, even if Strowman could make some peace with people, they're all like, it's horrible they've lost their jobs. But like we said at the last crop, I could easily see all these people thriving in another company or just back on the indies once they're ready to roll properly again. I mean, places like AEW and New Japan would snap up names like Aleister Black and Murphy and Ruby Riott within a heartbeat. So I think we'll definitely see them, once those 90-day compete clauses are out the way, we'll see them pop up elsewhere. It's just very shocking inside at the moment that this has like had to happen to them, unfortunately.
Yeah. It means at least two of the people on this list can now be or have the opportunity to work with their significant others, which is cool. Because I was worried about like, you know, like what working the divide would be like. One person working, like I guess Adam Cole and Britt Baker make it work kind of well. Mainly because Adam Cole's already friends with all of the elite guys, anyways. So that kind of works kind of well, but that won't be, there isn't a guaranteed 100% success rate because everyone's working in different circles and at different paces. What would the like dinner time talk be like? Like was they sat around having their toad in the hole? Like I went to the writers' room today and they told me I could start a new character where I'm I don't know, a butcher or something. It's like, oh, cool, yeah. I had my script ripped up 3 times. Oh, nice. Yeah. So it'll be nice seeing them work, like go back and have more time with their significant others now. They're not in the WWE grind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I guess more on it as it comes out over the next day or so. Like I said, I agree with you. I think I'm surprised when there's the releases it wasn't NXT UK names because there was rumors that was going to be the next place to get the chop. And honestly, like even though they've got some tremendous talent in there, it feels like none of them would be safe. Like I agree with you. Like even like Walter could easily be gone. It's going to be hard to say what the hell's going to happen, but hey, we'll see what goes on. Well, moving on, obviously we'll get to our main topic soon, but we'll kind of stall a little bit longer while we wait for Jace. I suppose something else we could talk about. Double or Nothing was this past weekend. Did you manage to catch any of it, Scott?
I sadly haven't. I don't mind too much about spoilers. I've had a lot of it spoiled for me already because I was trying to avoid it. Then a friend of mine messaged me literally all of the results and their reactions. So I was like, it's fine. I know now. But I haven't seen any of the matches. I've been told the triple threat is amazing. So you just hit me with some big spots. All I know is the results, and I'll be like, ooh, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're fine with me running through the card, we can do a quick run through if that's
absolutely.
All right with you. I don't want to spoil it.
I'll give you a blind react. How's that?
Yes. So I will basically say overall this was a fantastic show. Now I think a lot of it could be the fact that they had full capacity crowd. And I wrote on the website at the time when I was doing a random thoughts thing that like maybe we had gotten a bit used to it, but my God, once it's back, you will realize how much you have missed a live crowd. Oh, is he? Hey! Hey!
There he is.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you guys?
Not bad. Very well. Not bad. Well, we've just been talking about the breaking news of the releases, so we might as well quickly jump back to that second. What's just quickly, as we've already kind of talked about a lot, mate, what is your kind of quick thoughts on all that?
Some of them I can understand. Some of them I'm just like, why? Like Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Well, the thing we were saying there, he had $1 million deal with them, so a lot of people are saying that's probably why, because it seems like they are trying to save money every corner. But it's still a bit shocking. Like he was one of the main players, like we said, main evented Backlash for the title just recently, but apparently that's just not enough to save him.
And they've got rid of Braun Strowman, who's on $1 million deal, fair enough. But then they're going to refill their roster with Eva Marie.
Yeah. It's...
yeah.
I
did not think of that. I had a genuine reaction to that as a human being. I felt like some kind of sensation go up from the pit of my stomach to my mouth.
Oh dear. No, it's a good point. Well, it's a good point.
But it's like Garrett said in the group chat. Was it Garrett who said in the group chat about people like Murphy going to New Japan and just killing it in the juniors?
Tommy.
Oh yeah.
Fucking end.
Tommy fucking end. No, that's what we were saying. Like, it's horrible that they've all lost the jobs, but you can easily see every one of these names popping up somewhere else down the line. AEW, New Japan, even back on the bigger indie stuff. They're all going to find work easily. They're all huge.
Thing is with Tommy End, like, because he's married to Zelina Vega, he can stay in America, so he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to worry about work visas or anything, which is good.
Yeah, that's just good.
So he could easily just like jump as soon as like the 90 days is up. If he has to obey the 90 days, he can go to AEW. He can go to Ring of Honor. He can take Zelina with him because she's just entertaining.
Yeah, go to New Japan. Hopefully see him pop back up in Progress. Ooh, that'd be good. But yeah, I mean, Chuck, we were saying it seems. What do you make of the rumor mill stating that the reason WWE is doing all these cuts, all these cost-saving measures, is because they are looking to sell? Have you seen these?
I haven't seen these rumors, but
you haven't seen these rumors.
I've been busy moving house, mate. I only got internet back today.
Well, okay, so the rumor mill is abound. That the rumor mill's abound, and a lot of people like reputable sources all seem to think that the amount of cuts they made, because it's obviously not just the talent, they've been cutting people backstage, merging stuff where they can. Rumor is that many people think WWE is looking to sell up everything to something like a Disney Plus. Just let it all go. What would you kind of think about that if the shocking happened and Vince sold it all away?
I think it's hard because it would depend who he sold it to. Because if he's going to sell it to something, say if he sells it to Disney, Disney have been really good on the whole of getting people who care about the product to make the product.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Feige, like there's been one or two missteps with the MCU, and that's it. So if it was something like that, I can get behind it. If it's going to be someone who's buying it for the sake of buying it, or buying it for just to add a cog into their machine and just leave it, just forget about it, then no, I'm not happy with it.
Yeah, we agree. Like, I think someone like a Disney Plus would do well there because they've had stuff like they've got ESPN and other sports things under their banner, so they would just let it do its own thing and obviously hopefully inject some new creativity and control into it. So that side of it, I'd be fine with. Again, it's going to depend, but like I said to Scott, I think we're going to see some more releases, possibly even today or the next few days, and it's going to be very telling where that could be going down the line. But kind of cover that now. It's horrible, but I'm sure we'll see them pop up elsewhere. I'll skip over the Double or Nothing review. We were just going to do that to stall time till you got here, but you're here now. Scott, essentially, it was a tremendous show.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it if you can. The triple threat is phenomenal. So how about it?
Even if it was a bad show, I'd still watch it just for the fans in attendance. I want to see their reaction to the entrances, to what the wrestlers are like now. Mostly, I want to see them cheer Hangman Page, because what a fucking guy.
What a fucking guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, if you get a chance, go check it out. And if you listen to this and haven't already, go back and watch it. It's tremendous. But to today's episode, as we mentioned at the start there, we're doing our top 5 women's matches. It's been a while since we've done top 5. And the last one we did was Mania, and I do love doing these. How did you guys manage with this kind of list together? Was it quite an easy process for you, or did you struggle a bit?
Like my first couple, I was just like, right, that's on, that's on, that's on, that's on. Like my first 4 were like straight away. Then to get number 5, I struggled. Because I started off and I was just like, right, that can be on my number 5, but that could be my number 5. I still haven't decided on a number 5.
Okay, so you're just going to have to roll into that one.
Basically, I'm just going to do whichever one I've put on my list that's under number 4. The rest are just me honourable mentions. Right,
okay, no problem. Well, what we'll do kind of maybe try and run it like last time, where just because usually if we do the honourable mentions first, it's a guarantee we've got some of them in that list. So as I was saying to Scott before, I think when we started, there's a very distinct theme for my list, and I think you guys will have a lot of similar matches that would have made my honourable mentions list. So that's why I'm going to let you guys rattle through your list, then honourable mentions, and then obviously we'll do our number 1 if that works for everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Scott, have you got your list put together? I know you got confused about how we were supposed to be doing this.
I did, yeah. I've also, because of it, deleted my honorable mentions. So if you give me 2 seconds, as you guys go through your honorable mentions, I will sort out and getting those.
We'll do honorable mentions after number 2. So we'll do 5 to 2 honorable mentions, then we'll do number 1. So
fantastic. Yeah, I've got my top 5. It was genuinely tough. I did sweat over it. I just, my deciding factor was like how good a lasting effect did this match have on women's wrestling as an industry? And that's how I've kind of structured mine.
Smashing.
Yeah.
Well, main question is, who would like to go first? Would you like me to kick it off? Because I've got quite a controversial one to start off with, so I don't know if we want to kick off with that one.
Let's come on.
Okay. Okay, so number 5. So, it's a controversial pick, but let me explain my reasoning for it. So, putting mine together, that you will notice a bit of a theme, and this one is a bit of a standout. But I went with Meiko Satomura versus Pete Dunne from Fight Club Pro's Dream Tag Team Invitational 2018 Night 3, which was April 1st, 2018. So it's obviously not strictly a women's match because obviously there's a male wrestler in there. But this is kind of why I wanted to bring this up. So obviously we've had the last decade's been tremendous for women's wrestling. We've essentially had the revolution. So, women's wrestling, it's not, there's still stuff that needs to be done, but more or less women are now getting on the equal pegging as male wrestlers. Wouldn't you agree? That they're getting there. Like they've had their own pay-per-view. Lots of people want to go pay to see them.
Yeah, there's still a way to go, but there's still a way to go, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there. But for me, I think the next logical step is to carry on with that evolution part of it. And I want to see more intergender matches. And I want to see them done where it is like an equal competition. So like the way I was trying to describe when I put this first thing together was WWE just refuses to do intergender things now, really, unless it's something like the Mixed Match Challenge. And even then you will never see a man fight a woman. And even if they did, you'd go back to the Ruthless Aggression era where it was like nasty male man beat up innocent, precious woman. You know what I mean? It's just like...
There was an intergender match on Raw this week.
Was there? Oh, hey, who was in that?
It was Shayna Baszler and
Reginald. But that's, you know what I mean. Come on.
I've never seen such disdain pronounced in a word and Greg saying Reginald. Reginald?
Right. I'm saying that.
Can I just say Reginald beat Shayna Baszler in less than 5 minutes.
MMA trained.
Good for him.
Longest reigning women's NXT champion Shayna Baszler.
That doesn't count. I'm not having that. You're just annoying me. So back to my point. I think the next step is to have intergender matches, but make it feel like it is on the level playing field. Because I think we're at this point, and a match like this proves it. I mean, it's not obviously a rarity. You look at Tessa Blanchard winning the Impact World title from Sami Callihan. That was huge news. So I think the market is there, and this match just proves it to me. The whole match is just brilliant. It's not long. You can go find out. It is really good. Dunne is full-on cocky bastard heel in this match, and it's great, but he dials it up slightly. So the weird thing with Fight Club Pro, if you watch it, there's no commentary. You have to just kind of watch it, piece together what you can without anyone telling you about it. But you can tell Dunne's slightly dialing up because he thinks, I'm fighting a woman, this is going to be easy. So he is a bit overly arrogant. And then that moment when Meiko basically levels him with a fucking forearm, it's brilliant. And watching the thing, you don't feel like Meiko's in extra power just because it's a man fighting a woman. You know for a fact Meiko, like any wrestler, is going to get back up and get her offense in, and she gets plenty in here. She fucking dominates Dunne. She went into this match as the Fight Club Pro champion, not the women's champion, their main champion as well. So it's already there that she's had these other matches. It's brilliant. And the fact is she does lose, which I guess is not great for kicking us to this list, but the way she loses is makes her look strong as fuck. So Dunne hits her with a bitter end. She kicks out. Then he does his, bitter end into a tombstone. Kicks out of that one, and he does 2 more and then gets the win. So essentially Meiko lives up to her final boss nickname in defeat. So she doesn't look weak at all. Absolutely tremendous. So controversial one to pick off because it's a man and a woman, but honestly, go check it out because it's just fucking fantastic. And I had to get Meiko on the list somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Right, lads, who wants to go next? But don't
I'll
tell
go.
them once.
Yeah.
I will go. My number 5 is the first ever women's main event of Raw. Trish and Lita.
Ooh.
Nice.
Nice.
Because this match, I remember, I've watched it a few times back. It's not the best technical match, but it's still a really good match, especially with the story going into it. And this literally is the match that made history of showing women can main event. It's just it took so long for WWE to realize.
No, I
Trish and
agree.
Lita, so much chemistry between them. Like they will definitely go down. Like regardless of what era of women's wrestling you watch, they will always be mentioned as two of the best.
Absolutely. I'm in fact, I wouldn't even think this is controversial to say that they are the two most iconic female wrestlers of all time. Easily. I mean, like, you go to non-wrestling fans and they know who Trish Stratus and Lita are. They just know.
I'd put them up there, them two in China.
Yeah,
I would agree.
yeah.
I would agree, especially in terms of people, a more mainstream wrestling audience.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to know who they are if they grew up at a certain point. What I love about the trajectory as well is like they basically helped women's wrestling get back on WWE for that short period of time. And someone like Trish came into the company and just couldn't wrestle at all. And then when she finished, she was like one of the best women's wrestlers going. Be right. And it showed that WWE did at points just have the faith in the women's division by giving them something like this main event. And it just took them so much longer to eventually pull the bullet and have such a bigger focus on the division. But it is a tremendous match. Absolutely.
Like, to me, it was this match that paved the way for people like Mickie James, Beth Phoenix, Natalya to come in when it was a time of, it was mainly models. Like nothing against them, but there was only a couple of wrestlers.
Yeah.
And this is what made it so they were able to get there. And if that didn't happen, women might not even be featured in WWE now.
No. They definitely were a big reason why a lot of the crop of women we have now are there, because they were such a big influence. So yeah, there is a lot you could say is owed to just Trish and Lita alone for making sure we had people in the division now. No, I agree. Scott, what have you got for number 5?
For number 5, I thought I'd make this pick because it's not only a good match, not only a brutal match, but it pays homage to a division which has been basically shouldering women's wrestling for decades. I've gone for Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong at Final Resolution 2008. I mean, pick two. Like, if we're saying Trish and Lita WWE, Gail Kim and Awesome Kong TNA X division, Knockouts division. Sorry. This match was 7. They kicked the 7 shades of hell out of each other before, whilst WWE were still doing pillow fights. Like, yeah, this was what people who were starved of that kind of entertainment. You say, let's say, little girls watching WWE looking for an idol. And not finding the right thing because they've got like mud bath fights or whatever, they could go and see just a David versus Goliath fight, and it's such a gorgeous watch, and it's one of my favorite female feuds ever. It's spectacular.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead, man.
I remember when I watched TNA, because at the time, like there was no women's championship, and it was Gail Kim who campaigned so hard to get an actual women's division, not just have it like WWE and having it, here's 30 seconds, here's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like Scott, you're right. Like if Trish and Lita are the icons of WWE. It is Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. And I think because of Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, that's how they managed to get people like Roxy Laveau and Mickie James went there. Angelina Love, Tessa Blanchard, Taylor Wilde, who at 19 years old went in there and just blew everyone away of how good she was. And yeah, like their series of matches, because they had a few.
They had loads,
were unreal.
Mm.
And that was at a time when TNA was a genuine alternative to WWE before Hulk and Eric got there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that's one of the things that maybe does get a bit lost in the shuffle, because I think a lot of people, certainly now they've pulled themselves back up again, like Impact Wrestling is good again, but like obviously most people like to just remember the bad with TNA and Impact, even though there was a lot of good in there. And I agree, the women's division that they had there, or the Knockouts division, was tremendous. Like they had some absolutely amazing talent there. And it really did feel like they gave them a focus. I mean, they were ones that to give them women, like bring some in, the Knockouts tag belts, for example. Fair enough, there was like a little bit of crap stuff in there as well. It's the Impact, like it's kind of like their thing. But yeah, a feud like this kind of proves why it was the better alternative to watching the supermodels that couldn't fight on WWE. So wholeheartedly agree on that one.
I remember, I can't remember who said it, but someone, I remember watching a video on YouTube or something, and someone said the best way to describe Impact is low budget with a budget.
Yeah. I could get behind that. Yeah.
It's really well put. Yeah.
I cannot remember who said it. I wish I could. Because props to them.
Props to them. Absolutely.
But that's what it was. Like, I mean, look at some of the, like stepping away from the women for a second. Like, look at some of the matches. Like the Ultimate X match is unreal. King of the Mountain was a great concept.
Yeah.
Anyone like I love the King of the Mountain because it was like a ladder match but in reverse, because you had to hang the belt to win. Like if you pinned someone, they had to go into a penalty box. You couldn't hang the belt till you'd pinned someone. It was it was just so all over the place that you were just like, what the fuck is happening?
It was like a car crash. Like you don't know what you're watching, but you can't turn away. Kind of thing, you know.
And then in Impact, you had stuff like the Final Deletion, which is amazing. I think
best thing ever.
I think everyone can agree that whether you love it or you hate it, it's amazing.
No, it's awesome. No, I agree. Like there is a lot to Impact that they did do well, but obviously, just as equally as we're saying, it is under a lot of bad stuff. You have to not necessarily dig, but you do have to kind of look past a lot of things. Yep, we'll roll on. Number 4. So this is my most recent pick, but it only took place this year. But my God, this has already become one of my favorite matches. Dr. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in the Lights Out match from AEW Dynamite back in March 17th, 2021. We talked about this during our Blood episode, but my God, this was like a star-making match for Britt Baker. Like, again, it was the kind of argument we had at the time. The Blood really fucking sold her. Like, she was already becoming the hottest thing in wrestling as it was, and then all of a sudden, that visual just sent her to the fucking moon. And it's little wonder she is now the current champion, which is why I put the background as her holding the belt. Which you can't see.
I also had this as one of my later picks, so I'll quickly divulge about it now. Like, it's how I can't remember another time where a female wrestler bled. That's why it's so high up on my list. Nothing quite says I'm hard as shit than Britt Baker smiling with a face of crimson. And that was just so perfect. And a star-making performance from Thunder Rosa, who I already liked. But this, she's very quickly rocketing to one of my favorite female wrestlers at the moment. It just, I'm all for, and the promo she did afterwards as well. Just this match was just teeming with brilliant, like kind of like but cringeworthy but a good way. Like that must fucking hurt.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the first time I've seen a women's match that has a thumbtack spot in it.
Yeah,
like they don't hold back. It's just incredible, like what they put themselves through.
I wouldn't say this match was cringeworthy. It's wince-worthy.
Yeah, that's a better one.
You don't cringe when you watch it. You're like, oh.
Yeah, you literally, your body tenses because you almost anticipate the shot yourself.
It's like when you see another. It's like when you see another guy get hit in the balls.
Yeah, for sure. But then for this match, this guy gets hit in the balls and then stands straight back up to get hit in the balls again. That's what it felt like watching this match. It was it was spectacular. Like there's footage as well of them going backstage and the entire locker room giving them a huge round of applause. Like that's when you know you've done a really good job. I adored this match.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's the kind of match AEW needed because although they've got a really good women's division, it's the weaker part of Dynamite. They've just not given it that much attention, or the stuff that they have given it has just not worked. This alone, I think, helps restore a lot of favor that, okay, they can turn this back around. And I mean, basically, it's their two best women that they've got at the moment, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And not to like, obviously, it was more of a star-making turn for Britt, but you can't fault for the fact Thunder Rosa also wrestled her ass off in this match. It took as many punishable licks as Britt did. But yeah, it's still very fresh, maybe. That's why it's on here. But I think even in a few years' time, we'll be looking back at like how much of an important match that was for AEW. Who was next? Jace? Yeah, Jace number 4.
So my number 4 is Nikki Cross versus Asuka, last woman standing.
Ooh, a great choice. A great choice.
I just remember watching this, and even though like you had like your big stars on the main roster, you had Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley at this point. You had all these amazing women, but you'd never seen them do anything apart from standard wrestling. You'd never seen them go hardcore to any major extent. You'd seen kendo sticks and maybe the odd table, but you hadn't seen anything of this caliber. And these two women just brought it. And I think like Asuka was made in NXT at this point. Nikki Cross needed that little bit extra, and this is the match that gave her it. Like this is the match that should have put Nikki Cross on that pedestal that she was never going to come down from. Because I love Nikki Cross now, like with her current character, but when she was with Sanity,
miss it so much.
That was like, she needs to go back into her brain, find Nikki, and let her fucking play.
Yes,
no, I agree.
Fucking-lutely. The Nikki's Got a Secret storyline in NXT was a masterstroke. An absolute... The crowd chanting that whilst Aleister Black sat in the middle of the ring whilst Nikki Cross is there rolling around in joy. Like, that is genuinely, no cap, one of my favorite NXT non-takeover moments. I adored that. Because the crowd became a player in that. And Nikki, that was all Nikki's doing as well. Aleister Black had just got there. This was Nikki. Nikki is such a fantastic... Like you said, Jace, I completely agree. Still like her in her current character. But yeah, she needs to go back to Nikki's Got a Secret, Nikki, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Go, Greg.
I agree. Like, it's one of those ones where she should have been made a huge star following her run in NXT because it was all pretty much top-notch stuff. And I would argue, like, maybe compared to other NXT superstars, she's not necessarily had the worst run on the main roster. Like, at least she was featured prominently, obviously tag titles with Bliss, but it's just paled in comparison. She should have been one of those stars that's in more of a main event scene, but obviously the issue with that is the main roster's women's division is heavily dominated by the same few names, which is a shame. But yeah, you're absolutely right. She really deserved more going up to the main roster, and this match is like excellent proof of that.
Like, I know this isn't a pictures video, but I want Killian Dane on Raw with Nikki Cross. Somehow get the Fiend and Alexa back together. There's your main event. Killian Dane and Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss and the Fiend.
Killian and Nikki are married, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. I thought that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
did not know that. That's cute as fuck.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, it's adorable.
I like it. One so big and one so little.
I know, that's what I mean. Like, you have, like, because you've already got the story there with Nikki and Bliss. You've already got that story there. And then just get Killian there, teaming up with Nikki, the attacking Bliss, tearing apart, what's it, Alexa's playground or whatever the bollocks.
The doll that Shayna Baszler's feuding with, you know,
Oh god, no.
MMA trained, longest reigning NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler.
And then you just need to, like, Bliss needs the Fiend back to help her out. Tell me you wouldn't want to see a cinematic match featuring those four.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Make it the most Beetlejuice thing on the fucking planet. I'm in.
I'd definitely be all in.
We'll just make it a contest between Bray and Killian Dane. Who's got the hairier back?
That's the edge.
I'm joking, of course.
Match like that.
I'm joking, of course. I love all four of them. But I really want to see Nikki doing something better. I'm hoping because she beat Charlotte on Raw, that's going to lead to bigger and better things for her.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But no, that was a solid pick, man. Scott, what's your number 4?
Fingers Nikki crossed. Speaking
I
of
wondered where you were going with that.
Thank God that S is there and very prominently there. Right. Speaking of said names that are currently spearheading the WWE Women's Division, I'm going to go for a little slither back in all 4 of their pasts here. I'm going to go all the way back to NXT TakeOver Rival, where they had their only ever fatal 4-way together. And my God, was it... Because at the time, the storyline going into it is that Becky Lynch still wasn't... She wasn't even steampunk orange hair Becky yet. She was like tartan wrestling, like normal wrestling gear, brown haired, friend of Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch at this point. This was
still like doing river dance down to the ring.
She just got past that phase. She just became champion Sasha Banks's pal, basically. And they came into this fatal 4-way match with an allegiance. Bayley was, of course, in full hug mode form, and Charlotte wasn't. Charlotte was just like a brilliant wrestler who happened to be Ric Flair's daughter instead of a good wrestler that is definitely Ric Flair's daughter, and you should never forget this fact. Like she was at the start of like her great work in NXT, and this fatal 4-way had the story, despite the fact that she was nowhere near the prominent name, was Becky Lynch. It was all about Becky Lynch, despite the power over the other 3 names there, and you can tell that the 4 of them are going to be superstars from this match. That's the thing with NXT, because like back then it was very much the feeder thing that was just shown on the network. A bunch of like, you know, homegrown and indie guys getting together, working on their characters before their eventual call up. This like was like watching Gold Dust. Just it was so good. The character work with Becky, where she basically turns face throughout the match. There's a couple brilliant spots where Bayley just starts jumping around everywhere, and There's even like a really good like power bomb onto the apron. I think it's on Bailey, where she hits the hardest part of the ring, don't you know? And the little screen on the side of the ring that shows like NXT Takeover literally goes colored screen and then static and then blank and then black. Windows logo, and it starts updating. Does that little sideways sad face thing. But yeah, no, it's genuinely a match that's well worth the rewatch, and it's basically like watching these 4 superstars like begin their trajectory to where they are now, whether they're in, you know, like whether or not they're in a good writing place is under dispute, especially for Charlotte. But like you can see the seeds getting planted in this match, and that alone makes it incredibly influential, and why I put it at number 4.
Amazing. I've never actually seen this one. I think for me, like, there's a lot of early NXT stuff I need to go back and check out, and this being chief among them. But I have heard about this match a lot, and yeah, it's one that's been on my list to go back and check for a while. I will definitely be doing it after this video. I should point out, any matches we feature in the top 5 will be featured on our Matches You Need to See page of the website. So if you want to go read more about them, check them out there. So I'm definitely getting onto this following this. Jace.
Yeah, this is actually one of my honourable mentions.
Nice.
Nice.
Like the best way I can describe this match in terms of NXT women's matches is this was Sasha Bailey before Sasha Bailey was a thing.
Yeah.
This was like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
This was like the top. Like this was the tippity top of what women's wrestling could be at the time, especially within WWE. And just they need to redo this match. This is a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the growth of the characters. Like Bailey, no longer she's the role model. Becky is the man or the man, depending on which T-shirt you bought. Charlotte, it's Charlotte. Like, she's never not good. And Sasha, who is probably my favourite out of the bunch. I've said it before on the podcast, and it's because I cannot watch a Sasha Banks match without thinking she's killed herself.
It doesn't get quite more real than that. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? Like, she sells so well.
Mm.
Like, what was the one? She'd done. You know when she puts someone in like horizontal in a corner and does the double knees onto them.
Mm.
She'd done that, but they'd moved. Obviously, I knew it was a work, but like the way she sold it was just so convincing. It's like when Alexa Bliss, like, you know, Alexa Bliss is like double jointed in her elbow.
Yes,
she can like pop it down. It's like when she does that. The first time I saw that, I nearly vomited.
I mean, no, the worst one for me was, I believe it was a fantastic match. It was like her and Charlotte fighting for the title on, I think, Raw. And she does a suicide dive out of the ring, and basically looks like she broke a freaking neck. She doesn't connect with Charlotte. She just hits the floor and then folds up like the accordion like she can do. And I was just like, no.
Sasha Banks, I think, has mastered an art that no one else on the planet probably knows how to master or should know how to master. And she's the undisputed queen of looking almost very nearly breaking her neck, but never breaking her neck. It always looks like I like Hell in a Cell versus Charlotte is a good example where I'm like, oh, she's dead. Nope, she's still going. Oh no, she's dead again. Nah, still cracking on. I see.
I think Sasha Banks, when she was about 19, 20, she went to the doctor and she said, right, I'm going to be a wrestler, but I want to do it for a long time. Is there any way you can wrap my bones in bubble wrap?
Yeah.
Just give us that little bit extra. Just, I don't care what it costs. Just bubble wrap, a bit of packing paper, you know, anything.
Either that
or there's no way she could, like.
Either that or
There's
she's
no way she
half
can
Stretch
take-
Armstrong.
Yeah. Yeah, like it reminds me, you know, when was it Lita did the suicide dive and she like sort of like hit the barrier and she just folds in half.
Yeah. Wow.
Basically,
She reminds me of
fucking
that.
neck up. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I know Lita did fuck her neck up, but like she did get up and continue the match. And Sasha does that
Yeah.
every night.
No,
She's not human, I tell you. She's
made
not
out
human.
Of, she's made out of rubber, that girl. But no, it's solid.
She's made out of plasticine and wire. That's what she's made out of.
No, but solid choices there. Absolutely, she's insane. So we'll move swiftly on to number threes. So my number three, it's my only WWE pick from the main roster, but I'm taking it quite the ways back. I'm going with the Jumping Bomb Angels versus the Glamour Girls from the 1988 Royal Rumble. So, quick question. Did you guys know that WWE at one point had women's tag team titles before these current belts?
No idea.
I knew they'd had them because I remember a lot of people online, like when Sasha and Bayley won them, and they were saying, "Oh, the first ever WWE Women's Tag Team Champions," and a lot of people online were saying, "Well, no, they're not. They've been tag team before." But wasn't there only like 3 or 4 teams that held the titles?
Yeah, it's
wasn't
really
that many.
So the belts were there a little longer than I thought. So they were there for a lot of the late 80s and the 90s. But honestly, the division must have been one of the best kept secrets ever because you'll be hard pushed to find a lot of matches. And again, it wasn't many people have the belts, but this was one of them. And it stands up as a prime example that back, like WWE just has these moments where it's like, you have something amazing here. Why can't you translate this to the product now? Because this tag team match is fantastic. For one thing, you've got 2 actual fucking tag teams. It's not just a fucking like 2 people thrown together, and like the match itself is like it's ahead of its time, which is just typical for Joshi wrestlers in general. The Jumping Bomb Angels, you can probably find like way better stuff that they did in Japan, but this is just a prime example of what they could do in Western style. I mean, they essentially just completely dominate the Glamour Girls by just doing the kind of offense you just didn't see in 80s WWE. Like it's the kind of stuff you would eventually have seen in like the 90s takeaway cruiserweight scene. What's going there? Like they're just ducking and diving and rolling around the ring and constantly just getting them in lockups that they just can't seem to get out of. And literally, it's only a quick 10-minute match, but you'll just be blown away at like the kind of caliber this was for like 1980s WWE. And the Glamour Girls barely get any offense, and yet they win the match by just getting a nice little sneaky, cheeky win at the end. But honestly, it's just mind-blowing stuff that like at one point WWE have tried doing shit like this before, and then it just kept getting pushed away, and now they've got it again. It's like they need to essentially go back through their archives and look, you may not have done a lot of this original one, but there's some good shit here. Just take this and put it here in the present day, and you'll print fucking money.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about the Jumping Bomb Angels, but A, this match sounds great. B, the name of the tag team is great. I mean, come on.
Tremendous. I love it.
One of the best. And yeah, no, I did not know about the women's tag team scene back then. I had no idea. So
it's a lot like at the time they had a women's title as well, but again, it was barely on TV because like that's why the Fabulous Moolah has such an epic long reign with it. She just kept a hold of it, and then briefly at the first half of the 90s, they obviously had like Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano came in, so it was kind of there, but it was just typical for the time. Like they had it, but didn't do a lot with it, which is the shame about it because they had amazing talent. Like you could take the Jumping Bomb Angels from 1988, put them on NXT or AEW or WWE now, and it would still feel like the freshest thing you've ever seen. It's incredible. They were just so ahead of the time.
Yeah, I've never seen this match either. I might have watched it when I've rewatched Royal Rumbles from the past, but I can't remember it. Probably because I was drunk. But But yeah, it
Do you
sounds
remember
like an amazing match.
wrestling? Because you just typically are pissed for most of it.
I remember the time when we went away for my birthday. I jumped on your back, you put me on a wall, and I Kofi Kingstoned back to the house because I didn't have any shoes on. I remember that.
Still not eliminated. Still not eliminated.
I'm still in that Royal Rumble. But I think you're right, Greg, about like they need to like look back through their archives or this work, because we all know there's certain things in wrestling where it worked in the 80s, maybe even worked in the 90s, but it will not work now.
Yeah.
It's the same as there's stuff now that would not have worked back then.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that are timeless.
Yeah.
Like no one loves to hate a sniveling heel. Sorry, everyone loves to hate a sniveling heel.
Mm-hmm.
That's timeless.
Yeah.
But there's certain things like the main thing that pops into my head is the foreign heel whose only motivation for being a heel is I'm foreign, therefore I hate you.
The surprising thing about this, despite the Jumping Bomb Angels being Japanese, they are not the heels in this. The Glamour Girls, who are the American talent, they're the heels, which is quite interesting.
No, but I mean, like, you know, when like look at the Iron Sheik, or or Rusev when he first came in, or Muhammad Hassan. The less said about him, the better. Actually, can I just talk about Muhammad Hassan? I liked him. I thought he was a decent wrestler. He just got a bad rub with his character and his storyline.
All right, Jace, you just gave me whiplash.
All right, we're going to quick aside to that then. Yes, the character was good when they first brought it in. It's just then because he wasn't like this terrorist. He was like, it was actually a quite ahead of its time character of like them trying to buck trends that people from that ilk were being viewed that way. But then they immediately slip back into, oh no, he might possibly be a terrorist.
It was unfortunate that the day of the 7/7 bombings in London, they'd recorded him and his masked goons to attack the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And it was too late to change it. Like if I think if that had happened a couple of days either way, obviously I'd like it not to have happened at all. But if that had happened a couple of days either way, they could have rectified it, and he would have went on to at least held the WWE title.
I think that was sort of some of the plans I think that they said about the character. Because like did you ever watch when it was Undertaker week on the network celebrating his 25 years? They had the Legends with JBL with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold. And they said like from like maybe the mid 90s, if you wanted a job in WWE, keep up with the Undertaker for a segment. If he likes you, you're fucking in. And Muhammad Hassan was in with the Undertaker, from what I've read. Like, so it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, because he was a good wrestler and a talented bloke. He, like, for sure.
What I think's funny though about it, he wasn't even Arab American.
No, he was Italian.
He was Italian.
They could have like made him grow his hair out, like get like a decent beard going, and repackaged him as something else. He would have been fine.
Yeah, I think like this is something we could definitely have a full potential episode about. I wouldn't go too much into it, but yeah, I agree. Like there should have been more to that character that they could have done with, but I think circumstance got in the way, and maybe it just wasn't the right time. Is why I'm saying.
Nationalism in wrestling would be an episode. It was an episode I was thinking about. I've got a lot to say about it. So, yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Yes.
Anyway, let me close off. Honestly, go back and watch it. Like was said, for a company that is so blind, that it gets so blinded by its own nostalgia, having these constant legend nights, always talking about all wrestlers from the past rather than focusing on the current crop. they really could do with looking a bit further back into their past just to see how they could take some of it and put it into what the product is now, and it would do wonders for them. Only thing I would say about watching this match is try not to be too upset by the commentary, because both Vince and Jesse butcher the names of the Jumping Bomb Angels and make light of the fact that they can't pronounce the Japanese names. That part's a little dated. But other than that, it's tremendous.
The 80s.
Are the members of the Jumping Bomb Angels still alive? Do you know?
Let me see. I mean, they'll obviously probably not be active now. Let me take a look.
No, I don't mean like wrestling, but because
this should be a name that goes in the Hall of Fame, given that they've had a brief career in WWE.
I was going to say, like, you could get one of them, both of them, like, in to like help sculpt an actual women's tag team division.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. They were active from 1981 and both retired in 1991. So it looks like
decades.
Yeah, they've not done a lot in wrestling, but damn, in my opinion, they're one of those. I think for a lot of people, if you watched a lot of Japanese wrestling, especially in the 80s and 90s, you'll be clued up to it. But they are one of those underkey ones where I think they should have a lot more influence than they do, because this should be a Hall of Fame name for the WWE, and it would do wonders to help bolster the tag division. But it looks like they haven't done a lot since they retired, so that's fair.
That'll be a Hall of Fame pick when they've literally got no one else. Like,
yeah, which is a shame, but
yeah, like I hate it when they do that. When you get like someone who's done so much, but they're like, oh yeah, we'll throw him in.
Yeah. Like a bit of a backhanded one in a sense.
Like
yeah.
I remember watching who was it? I think it was Jim Duggan. Might have been Jim Duggan getting inducted, and like he won the first ever Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
and he was given like 5 minutes to talk. Not even. I don't even think it was 5 minutes. Like he was given nothing. It's not like Molly Holly this year.
Yeah, I can see the thought process on that one. Yeah, like
they were just like did so much. Like Molly Holly's another one of them women's wrestlers who revolutionized at the time of like where Trish, Lita, Chyna. She was another one.
Yeah. Well, she's kind of the one, when people talk about it, they always obviously pick Trish, Lita, Chyna from that era. But then when you look back, like you think hard, it's like, well, Molly's should be up there. Like the amount she did and had to work through is amazing. And it's one of those names people, like wrestlers and backstage people say of how influential she is and how she should have that more attention. So at least the Hall of Fame thing, it gave her that spotlight.
She's probably the only wrestler I've ever known of that no one can say a bad word about her.
No, everyone loves her. She's just
everyone loves her.
Yeah.
Like
no,
and she, like so it's like Lita, Trish, Chyna, Molly, Victoria. There's another one.
Melina as well.
Melina. Like these so good, but they were given like 2-minute matches. Sometimes like what was it? WrestleMania one year. I think it was WrestleMania 25. The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels ran long, and the women's match got cancelled.
Yeah.
This was the same WrestleMania where Triple H was watching. I think it was this one where Triple H was watching the match backstage. He was meant to be in the main event with Randy Orton for the WWE title. Yeah. Randy walked past and he just goes, "Randy, we're fucked."
Because that was the match that had an amazing build, but then the match itself was it wasn't that good. It was just a bit boring. But then it did have to follow that one.
Yeah, it had to follow Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25.
I think he'd be like,
like arguably the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just something happens with Triple H. It was like how him and Jericho had to follow Rock and Hogan at Mania 18. He's just got the bad luck with that kind of thing. Anyway, enough been sidetracked. Jace, number 3.
Yes, my number 3 is. I always forget to write down what year and what event, but WrestleMania Becky, Charlotte, Sasha.
Ooh, which one was that at again? Go into it. I'll look it up while you go into it.
Yeah, no, I know the one. Oh, what a match! Stole the show.
So this was the year after all three of those had debuted. So Becky and Charlotte debuted as part of Team PCB with Paige. Sasha debuted and joined Naomi and Tamina to form Team Bad. And then they were all three teams, well, those two teams were feuding with the Bellas and Alicia Fox. And essentially this whole story was building this whole story was there to build Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha. Charlotte dethroned Nikki Bella as the Divas champion, ending her record-setting reign, which was actually brilliant because it wasn't long after AJ had left, who was the record holder, and every week she had a countdown. Which was brilliant heel play by Nikki. And then eventually it got to the point of coming up to WrestleMania. This was the match that was made. And this made history because not only was a women's match featured prominently on WrestleMania, but they got rid of the Divas title.
Yes.
They got rid of it. It was gone.
What a moment, too. What a moment. I remember watching that and cheering my ass off at it.
You will remember it, Scott, because this is the Mania us three watched.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
it was.
You,
it was the Mania
you fell asleep for the main event.
I did, and I don't blame myself for it.
It was horrible.
I woke up after a lovely nap, and I was like, "What did I miss?" And you're like, "Reigns won."
Did he?
It was Mania 32. It was Triple H and Reigns.
I thought it was. Yeah. But this was probably the best match on that card.
Yes. So, I mean, this was the same. I mean, put it this way. This is the same Mania that had Ambrose versus Lesnar. It had the Hell in the Cell with Shane and Undertaker, which... basically, the only other match I could probably see here that I remember being good was Chris Jericho and AJ Styles and the Intercontinental Ladder match, which Ryder won. So it's a pretty sleeper Mania, to be honest, other than these three matches.
Yeah. But this match was... Because a lot of when it was like the three teams, a lot of the matches were just triple threat, three-person teams tag team matches. Or one person from each team in a triple threat match, which was, some of them were fine, but you didn't actually get to see these three women perform to the level that they could. In this one, you could. And this was even better because it was coming. It was not long after that whole storyline with Charlotte and Paige, where she was talking about Reed Flair. It wasn't long after that, so that was still like a bitter taste in people's mouths, and this just sort of washed that away. And you got to see Ric Flair, who I believe was in his late 60s at the time, stick his tongue down Becky Lynch's throat.
Oh, was that this one? Was it this?
That was this one.
Oh yeah. Oh, Nate. dirty old man.
Nature's
it's
gonna
right.
Nature.
It's right. Andrade suplexed him into a pool the other day. I think he's got his relative comeuppance.
No, it would have been better if it was Seth who suplexed him into a pool. Sticking your tongue down my woman's throat.
Oh yeah.
Nature.
Has anybody ever curb stomped someone into a pool before?
Probably. No, but I think Seth could probably do it. No, you're right. I think this is an important match because, like you said, this is where the Divas period officially came to a close, and now it was the women's wrestling back again. So yeah, no, it's an important one, a cracking choice. Absolutely,
it was a shining match on a bad Mania, and it was the match that this is a Mania where we had Austin return. We had, all kinds of things genuinely happen on this Mania. but people only ever remember it for the bad main event, Zack Ryder, and this match. And the Zack Ryder match wasn't particularly good. It was just Zack Ryder won. Holy hell! The women's match was known for being the good match of that Mania, which is yeah. They were like you said, they were given time and they did very well.
I will defend the ladder match a bit because everyone.
I think the ladder match was great. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Like everyone always says that the thing they want back at WrestleMania is the 6-man ladder matches.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Because because it started off with like Money in the Bank because that was at WrestleMania. Then that got its own pay-per-view. Then they started doing it for normally the IC title, which I think it should have been for the US because the IC is more of like meant to be like for more the technical wrestlers.
Yeah.
Which, well, whatever they want to put the title on, but I do miss a 6-man ladder match from Mania.
I do really like a 6-man ladder match, to be fair. Maybe I am sleeping on that match a little bit because I always remember that Mania being really bad, and maybe that kind of connotes into the rest of the card kind of thing. But but maybe it's worth a rewatch.
Was this also the WrestleMania with oh no, it might not be. No, it's not. Austin Aries and Neville.
No, that was the Mania before. No. That was Heist of the Century Mania 31.
Yeah, no, that was the pre-show for this one was the Usos and Dudley Boys. That it was Team Total Divas versus Team Bad, and Kalisto versus Ryback for the United States title.
WWE back then.
Because I remember around about this time, like a lot of the pre-show matches were better than the main show. Like I remember the Dudleys and the Usos was a good match.
Yeah, I could see that one being decent. Usually, if the pre-show is usually terrible, unless it's for the cruiserweight title, then you're at least getting something good out of it. Yeah.
Look at all the matches Neville had, all the matches Buddy Murphy had.
Yeah.
Cedric Alexander,
Austin Aries,
Brian Kendrick.
Yeah.
No, I agreed that this is. This is bad Mania, but this is the shining match out of it, and I agree. It was a pivotal point for when things were changing within the women's division. So it's a cracking choice. Scott, number 3.
I went for a choice where it's an example of where you get a bad story on paper, but by the performances in themselves turned into an iconic feud. I'm referencing Mickie James versus Trish Stratus at WrestleMania.
Yes, it's a good one.
Because I think as recently as a month or two ago, I was speaking to my family about wrestling because and because I used to watch it at my nan's house when I was a lot younger. And I used to sit there in front of the TV and my nan, bless her cottons, said to me, "Oh, it's that. I remember when you watched that show when there were," and she just started describing this feud. Yeah. And I was like, no, Nan, you don't understand. That was an iconic feud. You don't get it. Mickie James took like Vince McMahon going, "Ooh, lesbians," and made it into like this wonderful like super fan turned with this like element of psychotic idolization, and like it became just this wonderful heel, and Stratus being Stratus, and making a fantastic WrestleMania match from it. And also these two names in themselves speak for themselves in so many respects. I think this was a huge match, especially because, as we've been saying, they weren't getting a lot of time at like Even this match didn't go on for terribly long, but it was like 3 times the length of any women's or divas matches that came before, especially on WrestleMania. So I have very fond memories of this match. This was from first era Scott watching WWE. This was his favorite women's match, and I'm picking this one for him.
So you're doing it for young Scott.
I'm doing this one for young Scott. Yeah.
See, this match to me, it's an amazing shout. This match is even better for me because this is like 4 months after New Year's Revolution, where they had the bra and panties gauntlet match. And to go from that to the caliber of match that this was, like I don't know whether Vince. I think Vince has a stroke pretty much every day. Just you don't know, like, so because sometimes you'll tune into Raw. I think you might have a stroke every hour because sometimes you'll tune into like Raw, and the first hour will be amazing. Then the next 2 hours will be absolute dog shit. But then sometimes you'll tune into Raw. It's not so much now, but the whole thing will be amazing. Sometimes none of it will be.
On that note, because this was WrestleMania 22, this wasn't the only women's match on the card and the one following it was before the main event was Tori Wilson and Candice Michelle in a Playboy pillow fight match.
Oh, come on.
There's
a reason I remembered this match and completely forgot that one. Like, although I did used to have an action figure of Tori Wilson that I've got up in the loft.
Let her out.
Yeah. And that's all I ever remember of Tori Wilson's career. The fact that her action figure's upstairs, and I think it came in a multi-pack.
No, I mean, Tori Wilson was good, but I mean, I know the reason they did this match is because both them two had done Playboy. So obviously it was them, like, obviously just selling more on the sex appeal. Yeah, but it speaks volumes. I know for a fact a lot of people do remember this match over that one because you're right. The story was terrific. The match itself was brilliant. Like both Trish at this point was basically reaching her apex of proving that she went from being someone who couldn't wrestle to now she could. And Mickie James was like cementing herself as that big star. And even then, like obviously the now, as Jace alluded to, the thing that's edited out of the network, even that wasn't, you look back and that was like, that fit the moment so well, even though it would have shocked a lot of people. But you can't blame the fact that they had to edit out, because I think Nikki got chewed out for that when she got backstage. She got chewed out. Yeah.
But like with this, I think this was I'm like Scott. I'd completely forgot the Playboy pillow fight was this WrestleMania. But I think this might have been the point where WWE trying to have a real women's division died.
It was on its way. It was on its way.
Like, because there'd been other good matches, like when Trish beat Lita for the title and then retired was amazing. When Mickie beat Lita for the title and then Lita retired was amazing. The aftermath was shit because Crime Time came out and called her a slag and started waving a dildo about.
Yeah,
as they do.
But there was still amazing matches. But this was sort of the John sort of the beginning of the John Laurinaitis era.
Yeah,
where it was just, she's got a good body, get her in.
Yeah, I mean, to explain
She's got big fake boobies. Get her in.
To explain that, for people who might not know, the reasons I do not like John Laurinaitis, and I was really rolling my eyes when he got put back into this position, is when he was basically talent relations and talent scouting. He was solely the reason why the women's division went from having women who could wrestle to hiring just pretty people who couldn't, and they just thought, well, we can just give them some basic training and throw them out there. And that's why it floundered for such a long time. He's the reason why it was all about the diva, if you like. And it was like, Come on, dude.
In completely unrelated news, I can't wait for the return of Eva Marie.
Yeah.
I don't think she deserves to come back, but in her defense, she was trying.
She was.
Yeah.
She was training so hard with Brian Kendrick. Like
she's been trying to put the work in. Yeah. She's been giving it a good try.
If she's had enough training, she comes back and she's not just there. She was clearly there to get famous and to make money. She wasn't there because she wanted to be in the business. But if she's going to come in and put the effort in and try and have decent matches, fine.
Yeah.
I'll welcome her back with open arms.
To be fair, I am.
As long as there's none of these, when just before she got terminated last time, and her whole gimmick was she's coming out for the match, but now she can't have the match.
Yeah.
You just wasted everyone's time. If it's more of that, then I'm out.
I'm here being Billy Big Bollocks, pretending that I'd be any better. Little scrawny old Scott from Southampton who.
Yeah, but we're not like being paid a lot of money.
Another very good point. Thank you, Jace, for vindicating me. I am right.
I'm sure. She was on. I think at the minute, the lowest contract on main roster WWE is people like Liv Morgan and Mandy Rose, and I think they're on about 90K a year. She was on more than double that. I'm sure I read somewhere. And Mandy Rose isn't the best wrestler, but she can have a decent match. I never saw a decent Eva Marie match. I didn't even see her try.
No.
Saying that, I do you know what? I kind of enjoyed that daft little thing she had before she got let go the first time, where she was kind of going for that repackage thing, but she would come out and she was meant to have a match, but then all of a sudden, oh shit, my bra's exploded, can't wrestle now, and they would just keep coming up with these daft excuses for her to not have a match. I kind of did find that a little bit entertaining, but hopefully she's improved a bit and we'll get some entertaining stuff out of it. I think she is trying. She is really trying, and at the end of the day, I think it is right to try and give her some of her dues.
We'll certainly see. I've been one who has been very pleasantly surprised before and very happy about it. So if she comes back, starts a feud with Alexa Bliss, and has an entirely new Brian Kendrick-ized moveset, then let's have it. I say,
absolutely.
The thing, like I say, if she got, let's say she got the call a year ago saying, we want you, we're going to train you, we're going to send you somewhere to train you, not the performance center, because we don't want people to know. We're going to send you somewhere, we're going to train you up, and she's put the work in and she wants to be there, then I will welcome her with open arms. But if she's just going to phone it in again, no.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, but solid pick there, Scott, with Trish and Mickie James on that one. Absolutely brilliant. We'll roll into the number twos then. So, I think with this one and my remaining ones, you'll have noticed the notice I've been going for mine. But my number two is Manami Toyota versus Akira Hokuto from All Japan Pro Women's Wrestling. Destiny, September 9th, 1995. This is a recent one I've gotten onto because if you've noticed, I've been going through a bit of a 90s Japanese wrestling kick, and I've come to the conclusion it is the best period of wrestling. It's just the best, whether that's All Japan or AJW from this. But yeah, to give you some background on this and why you should go check it out. My notes have broken. Bear with me, I'll just get that back up. We'll cut this out.
We'll sort it out in post.
We'll sort it out in post. What has happened to my word? Right, for whatever reason, I don't know if anyone's listening along and can let me know. Have you guys had this with Word, where for some reason it'll just completely glitch out and all the text will just fucking go nuts? And it's not just in the document; it's like on the toolbar. It's everything.
I haven't had Word on my laptop for about 8 years.
Yeah, I've very much within the last 3 or so years moved from Word to Google Docs. Not saying Google Docs are perfect, because they are very much not. But
I've moved from Word to Notepad.
Yeah, I might have to. I might have to.
I don't need any of that software on my laptop.
To be fair, Notepad never crashed on me. Never crashed on me. I've lost stuff due to the fact that I've had broken phones and I wasn't able to save them to like anything in time. But like, yeah, Notepad's not failed me. Notepad is pretty good.
Way forward. Microsoft invest in Notepad.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make the switch because this is just getting. Anyway, go back. So to kind of kick it off again. So yeah, 90s. Like you look at the women's like stuff now, and it's brilliant, but essentially 90s Japan is essentially like hold my beer. This because me and Scott was saying, Scott, was it you saying that Meltzer's never given a 5-star match to a match in America for women, right?
Yeah. It's never never beat the 4.5 star barrier.
Yeah, which is a bit shocking to me. But I mean, this match did get 5 stars, and it's easy to see why. Like, even if you don't know any of the build, I urge you to go watch it, because this is some of the what's the crazy thing is a lot of Japanese wrestling from the 90s is on YouTube, just because copyright things is apparently just a bit of a murky thing. But yeah, to give you this up, so Toyota and Hokuto, I might be completely butchering that name, had many high-profile matches, and it was creating this very storied rivalry. But every match just saw them upping one another constantly. And at this point, Hokuto was getting ready to leave AJW. So it was clear they were going to leave the audience with something special. And this match is just ferocious from the start. Like, the opening moments of this match is Toyota charging Hokuto, who just sidesteps her out of the ring. And then Hokuto follows that up with a swanton to her on the outside. That's just the first, 10 seconds of the match. And then from then on, it just does not let up. Like, there's a point where Hokuto's got Toyota in, a camel clutch-like submission, and she just keeps stretching further back, even grabbing onto her hair. And I'm just watching going, I swear to God, she's going to snap her in two. I don't know how you can bend someone that far back. It just looks like absolute fucking agony. And it's just like that throughout. The shots are ridiculous. Even the closing bits, they're on the outside. And again, Hokuto tries to put Toyota through a table. And she goes to the powerbomber through it, and it just does not budge. And she just slaps on it. And she does that again. It doesn't budge. And then she gets up to the top rope with that look on her face of nah, you're going through this fucking table. And again, hits it, and both take this horrible, ugly-looking bump, and the table just doesn't break. I'm just like, my God, how are you both not dead at this point? It's just honestly just mind-blowing stuff. You see a lot of this stuff just wouldn't feel out of place in both NXT women's division, for example, because that's probably one of the best ones going at the moment. It's just stunning stuff. A lot of people say Japanese wrestling, especially women's wrestling from the 90s, was a trendsetter for even the men's wrestling to come, both in Japan and America. And it's easy to see why. You could a lot of the stuff that's in this match you see in stuff like the Cruiserweight division and places like AEW today. It's just mind-blowing stuff.
All I'm saying is that they should stop making Japanese tables out of granite. Because that's a reoccurring theme for sure.
I mean, the ones in New Japan now will just buckle easily, but then the ones here are just my God, what the fuck is that thing made out of? They slam onto that fucking thing, and it's just nah, I'm not breaking. Nah.
I once leant on my desk and it went cuckoo. I was like, yeah, that's it. If I just put a knee on that, I'm going through it.
I'm sure it was during one of the Kenny Okada matches where there was a table spot and it just didn't budge.
Yeah, well, I think it's just.
I'm sure.
Was it Charlotte and Sasha in Hell in the Cell, and how Sasha, Charlotte is determined to get Sasha through that table, and it just won't fucking go.
Yeah. I remember Adam Pacitti of Cultaholic was telling the story of when WCPW was a thing. he was meant to get put through a table by Bully Ray. And someone got the wrong table out. They got a real table instead of a prop one. And he'd said, like, this is a real table, but don't worry, you're fucking going through it. And literally just fucking powerbombed him straight through this. He actually had to go to hospital.
Not surprised.
because it fucked his neck. Like,
yeah, I'm not surprised.
So that table, like Adam Pacitti, like everyone who's watching this or listening to this will know who Adam Pacitti is. I mean,
probably, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. But like he's probably about built the same as me. Like I'm 6'4", like skinny. He's probably about the same as me. And if Bully Ray had to use that much power to put him through it, like imagine, like if Charlotte had got that wrong table, like Charlotte nowhere near as big, nowhere near as powerful as Bully Ray. Sasha nowhere near as big, nowhere near as heavy as me. Like that must have taken some going to get her through that.
Yeah, this fact in and of itself it further just cements how tough the two individuals are in Greg's match. Because
honestly, like I know, like obviously you guys won't be that. I'm guessing not that familiar, but like honestly, it's on YouTube. It's just incredible. I only just recently saw it in the Fights Made #2 speaks volumes. Like you will not. There are some male matches where you don't see them. Like honestly, it's clear like this rivalry, like the whole match. It just feels like they're trying to kill each other. And I'm just like, no, stop it! Like that's not right. Like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? Like, and it's just like the offense in it is nuts. Like they're doing like springboards that like you just wouldn't see a lot of people, like even some men doing at the time. It's just fucking. I was just like, what is this? This is amazing. So yeah, like go check out any of their work from that era. It's just fucking like Manami Toyo is just one of the best wrestlers and he's an absolute legend. Like just go fucking find it. It's amazing.
It does sound, that does sound like a great watch, especially since it's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, like, this is a crazy thing. So like, AGW is obviously a separate thing from All Japan, but both these, it just seems like there's a murky thing where I don't know who must own the copyright to these companies because it's all on YouTube for free. Oh, nice. It's all on YouTube for free. Someone must just not own it properly, and it's staggering because like All Japan wrestling in particular from the 90s is like the best period of wrestling. The matches are insane. Like you look at just two of the four pillars of heaven, like Kenta Kobashi and Masaura. They kept constantly getting like the Observer's Match of the Year throughout the 90s, and I think Kobashi's got 25 5-star matches under his belt, and Masaura's got 30, and they're all pretty much from the 90s. Just go indulge. It's amazing. Jace, take us through your number 2.
Okay, I've cheated a bit with my number 2.
Oh, we got another controversial one.
No, it's technically 3 matches, but 1 match at the same time.
Ooh,
so it's like okay.
So it's Charlotte and Sasha. There was an episode of Raw where they had a singles match, which ended in a DQ. So it got restarted, but later in the night under no DQ rules. Then it ended in a count out. So it was restarted again later in the night, but no DQ, falls count anywhere. And that's the one I've chosen because this was during the time when Charlotte and Sasha were like hot potato in the title.
Yeah.
Where they just were not having a bad match. And this one sticks in my mind because of the eventual finish. The second time it got restarted was the main event of the show, and at the end of that, Sasha had Charlotte through like the handrail on the stairs and put her in the bank statement, so her back was like against the rail, but all 3 of these matches were just showing these 2 women as the absolute geniuses they are. even though, like, I prefer Sasha as a heel.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Charlotte, I love either way. I think she's a little bit better as a heel, but I do love her as a face.
I'd like to see her as a tweener, as an anti-hero. I think like
WWE don't do it enough though with tweeners.
No, yeah, like the like the kind of almost Samoa Joe stance almost.
Well, it's like Austin.
Yeah,
Austin was the ultimate WWE tweener. He was meant to be a bad guy, but everyone loved him.
Mm.
It's usually a happy accident that they get away with it, like Becky Lynch.
Yeah. I was going to say Becky Lynch, but like these 3 matches, well, 3 matches, 1 match, however you want to classify it. Like, just the fact that in total over this night they probably wrestled over an hour, and they looked like they could go another hour. Yeah, they had little breaks in between. But still, they look like I genuinely think that if you give Charlotte and Sasha Raw, give them a 3 stages of hell match,
Ooh.
they could fill Raw. I'd fill Raw.
I'd buy that. So, like for this one, was it like they had a match, but then it was stopped, and then there was like some other stuff, and then they came out and had this other part of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm just drawing a blank because I just can't remember this one, but it does sound really good. I might have to go back and check it through.
It's like a lot of people didn't like it when they were hot potato in the title.
Yeah, I got to admit the matches were good, but even I got a bit.
I like to think of it. I don't know whether WWE intended this. I don't think they did because a lot of things happened with Sasha, where I'm sure one time she was going on a honeymoon and stuff, so they took the title off her, gave it back to Charlotte, and stuff kept happening where they had to take the title off Sasha.
I think a lot of injuries as well.
Yeah, I like to think of it as this was those 2 women where it was just who's the best on that night.
Yeah.
That's how I like to think of it. I would have preferred it if this was like the start of Charlotte's unbeaten pay-per-view streak, because Sasha would win it on Raw, Charlotte would get it back on the pay-per-view, Sasha would get it back on Raw. But it sort of worked well for Charlotte in the long run, because when she won the title from Bayley, then they came in with like, oh, you've never defended a title on pay-per-view. So it's sort of like that's I know it's not long-term booking, but that's WWE actually paying attention to the past. Which they do not do enough.
No, that's true.
Like, oh, remember last week when nothing happened?
Remember last week?
Because we're just making it up.
Remember last week?
Godzilla turned up.
Remember last week when it's the same thing that's just going to happen again this week? Yeah. That's all.
Remember last week when we had that tag team match? Well, this week we're going to have one member of each tag team having a match. It's different.
Who's going to win this time? Oh, I don't know. Who didn't win last time? Go for the other one.
Do you know what? One of my favorite tag teams when I was a kid was Paul London and Brian Kendrick.
Oh yeah, they were amazing.
But what pissed me off, I even remember thinking this as a kid. So let's say they were feuding with who do they feud with? The Pitbulls. So Jamie Noble and Kid Cash. They'd have like a tag match, which London and Kendrick would lose. They'd have a singles match with one member of each team, which London or Kendrick would lose. They'd have another singles match with one member of each team, which London and Kendrick would lose. They'd have the title match at the pay-per-view, London and Kendrick would win. And that went on for over a year.
No, it's...
Over a year.
Yeah.
No, lost the titles to Deuce and fucking Domino.
I think that's just typical WWE for you. Always, even at points when it was good, it was still questionable. But no, that sounds like a great pick, man. Like I said, I'll have to go back and check through that one. It sounds really good. Scott, number 2.
See, mine was Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, but Greg, you've already said that. So I'm just going to slam in my main honorable mention here and just say that for the rest of it, move it up 1, and this one goes into number 5. So retro, like a retcon almost. Yeah. Because I rewatched this match so much, and it has some really good historical significance, and the feel good factor. My God! And this was the 2018 Women's Royal Rumble.
Oh, is this the one?
This is the one. This is the one that Asuka won.
Yes,
this is the first. This was the first ever female Royal Rumble, and it had Sasha Banks lasting nearly an hour, Nia Jax getting 4 eliminations, Nikki Bella doing fucking amazing, like some of her best ever work, and Hall of Fame names. I'm just gonna get up a few because I've got the Wikipedia page up. I've got Lita, I've got Jacqueline, Beth Phoenix, Trish Stratus. We also had the returns of people like Brie Bella, Kelly Kelly, Vicky Guerrero, Michelle McCool, Molly Holly, Tori Wilson. And need to mention NXT. Of course, these guys went up at the time, but Kairi Sane and Ember Moon, who were I remember when I was seeing them on the main roster for the first time, squaring off against people like fucking Jacqueline and Kelly Kelly, and having Kairi Sane there vibing away. I adored this match, and talk about one of the rare instances of the right person winning.
Yeah, it had to be.
I remember watching this match from a packed bar in Southampton called Orange Rooms, which always put on the Royal Rumbles and the WrestleManias and the SummerSlams and stuff. And as soon as because we were still brimming from the Shinsuke Nakamura win earlier in the pay-per-view. This match was the headliner, and this match saw Asuka go over, winning as the final image of the Royal Rumble 2018. And it's honestly, looking back, one of my favorite nights. Not even as a wrestling fan, just one of my favorite nights I've lived in. Such good fun.
I remember watching the Dwelling. So were you not there for this one? I remember watching it with Garrett.
I was with Brogan and all the Southampton lot back here because I think I was back here for the week or something like that.
Okay, all right.
I agree that this was amazing. The first time you get a proper, well, not even proper, just a women's Royal Rumble. There were 2 things that ruined it for me.
Oh yeah.
One, the finish. Nikki Bella was out of place. Asuka kicked air, and I can't unsee that.
It's like Becky Lynch's pin on Ronda Rousey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2, that should have ended with Asuka in the ring.
Well, speaking of Rousey,
yeah. Tell you what, at the time in the crowded bar, we were like, "Hey, it's Ronda Rousey." Yeah. We didn't because we didn't.
I was exactly the same, but now it leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
that should be Asuka's moment.
Yeah, and looking back, I'm like, is she just gonna keep pointing? I mean, I get the message, but you could have done it once and you'd have been fine.
No, it was
that way.
No, I'm with you. This was one of because there's a lot of reasons this Royal Rumble pay-per-view was good, because this was when it started to get out of that bad trend of the being bad Rumbles, because the last two we had were really stinkers. But you're right, it felt like we were going in a good direction, because obviously we had Shinsuke win in what was a tremendous men's Rumble, and this was obviously the first women's, and this was still Asuka undefeated as well. Of course, I'm still very sour that she didn't beat Charlotte at Mania that year. I know a lot of people I think she still should have had it, but I can understand why why they did end the streak there, because at that point it was a monster that had probably gone on like quite a while.
I think they ended it not because it was like too long. It was because they made a story out of it. Like they even had because Asuka was teamed up with The Miz on Mixed Match Challenge, and it looked like The Miz was going to get pinned, and she was there screaming from the corner, "My streak, my streak." Like they made a story of it. Like, no, just let it happen until it gets to like an Undertaker.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the hardest thing, especially with doing an undefeated streak, is you do paint yourself into a corner, and I think that's kind of why they maybe decided to end it at the point it did. Because when you think about it, her whole NXT run wasn't beaten. Then she basically never lost that title, just gave it up so she could come to the main roster. And I think it's kind of at least
she got injured.
Yeah, but then at least it's fair that she had that first ever Women's Royal Rumble win. And at least if you're going to end it on the biggest stage, is all I'm saying. I think it was just a situation that they just did what they could with it. And I think if she had won, it would have just been one of those things where it's like, you just kind of, it's going on. You'd have to have it going at least a bit longer so she had a good run for the title. I think at least this way I can look in hindsight and think, okay, maybe that was at least a decent point to end it. And then you've got rid of that pressure. Now you can just have Asuka, the wrestler, and have the fact she's had that streak, and now people could potentially beat her. So I don't regret it too much. I think she still should have won, but that's me.
I'd love
if I was gonna book this, I would have used it. Like instead of turning Shinsuke heel at Mania, I would have turned Asuka heel.
Yeah.
She would have to cheat to beat Charlotte. Like that's how I'd have kept the streak, but I would have had a cheat to beat Charlotte to maintain the streak and get the title.
And bring the nobody's ready for Asuka from NXT, who came in wearing like those lovely kind of beige-ish coloured suits. Live for that Asuka. Want that Asuka back so bad. Feel bad. Just want my Asuka back.
Nah, it was solid Rumble, man. That's definitely a good, I guess, sort of replacement pick, given I already had the previous one. But yeah, awesome. Right, lads. I don't really have any honorable mentions because, like I say, with my list, I knew a lot of the ones that you guys would talk about would have made my honorable mentions, and they have. So if you've got any extra ones, just quickly rattle them off now, and we'll go straight to number one.
Right, I'll go first. Charlotte, Becky, Ronda.
From Mania, yeah.
From Mania, first women's main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Toni Storm, Io Shirai from Evolution.
That was my other one. Is
that your number one?
No,
that's not my number one. That was one of my other honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley when Storm won the title.
Great match.
Sasha Bailey, Iron Woman. I have Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bailey. The Fatal 4-Way. Paige and Emma.
Good shout. I was considering this one,
to crown the first NXT Women's Champion. Because this is the match that started the Give Divas a Chance hashtag. And I don't think these two women get enough credit for that.
Especially Emma.
It was especially Emma.
Yeah.
Like if you look at some of the matches, like there's another one I didn't actually write down, but the second tournament to crown the NXT Women's Champion after Paige vacated, Charlotte and Natalya.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
So I always say Natalya's very underrated. A lot of people think no, I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's a heart. Of course, she's going to be good in the ring. Come on.
The only thing about Natalya that needs work is her mic skills.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you just put her in the ring with anyone, whether it be a Nia Jax, whether it be a Becky Lynch, a Charlotte, a Nikki Cross, Michelle McCool, whoever, she's having a good match. It doesn't matter. Like, who's going to go in there and give it 100%?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Scott, what's your honourable mentions?
Yeah, you've gone through a lot of them. My only one that I had left that you didn't have was the War Games 2021 match.
Oh,
and a star-making performance from one Raquel Gonzalez, who is still impressing to this day, and Io Shirai in a bin. So, that's just perfect entertainment. Loved every minute of it.
I completely forgot about the women's War Game matches.
Yeah, I did as well. That's actually a great shout.
Even the first one, which I thought it was a great match, but I didn't like the fact that was it Candice LeRae and Rhea Ripley managed to overcome a 4-on-2. That's when Dakota Kai turned heel on Tegan Nox.
Oh yeah, because this was the start of the match, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't Tegan Nox about to go into the ring and Dakota Kai.
Well, yeah. So it wasn't like it was like quite early on in the match from what I remember. Still, it wasn't like right at the start, but yeah. No, that was a brilliant one. No, I completely forgot about those. No, all tremendous honorable mentions. Right, well, we'll go straight into the number one picks. And for mine...
Phil, for a couple of seconds, boys. I need a pee.
Okay. No, I think there's all been some good picks so far, Scott. That War Games one I completely forgot about.
Yeah. Both are like amazing, but the 2021 I'm genuinely in the mindset of, was it this year? Because I've forgotten that like 6 months has gone oh so very quickly for me, because this year has just been lightning fast.
It's blown my mind that we're already basically halfway through it already. Like, I swear to God, it was Christmas yesterday.
For sure. Like, last I checked, it was March. And now we're flying into summer, and the ever slow decaying passage of time.
Reach, he's back. So, roll straight into number one, guys. My number one pick. I was really struggling with going from number one, so I had to kind of look back through and try and refresh myself for some matches. And this one I watched again recently. I was like, damn, now I remember why this one should be my number one pick. And it is Asuka versus Ember Moon from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3.
Yes.
Amazing.
What a shout.
So
I'm gutted I didn't put this in my honorable mentions.
I know,
I was expecting it to show up. I think it's because it's one of those ones. I think because, again, we've had such a wealth of women's wrestling, and, again, it's part of Asuka's undefeated streak, that there's a lot you could pick from that era. But then when you look back, I think this was the standout. So this was I think this is the rematch that they had. And at this point, Asuka was already well into her title reign. I think if I remember the commentary saying, it was about 540 at this point. She was well into it.
I'm sure at this point, like, Ember Moon was the last person to challenge before she vacated. So this must have been like quite close to the end of her NXT.
Well, this will kind of get into it a bit, because, like, if you look into the backstory, essentially this was the rematch, because beforehand they'd had a match and Ember was the person who came closest to toppling Asuka. So there was a lot of going into it of thinking, wow, so Ember, it seemed like Ember was going to be poised to be the one to beat the streak. From at the time, this was her basically shooting her to the moon. Like, she was already getting a lot of traction, but everyone's like, damn, Ember's like the future of the NXT brand. And the match from beginning to end is just like the last one I picked. It's just ferocious. Like, it starts off straight with Ember just going over, booting Asuka. And what's surprising about this one is Ember has the dominance throughout this match for the most part. Like Asuka gets in like plenty of offense, but Ember for the most part is just like a woman possessed. It's like she's just trying to absolutely dismantle Asuka. Like there's just like several lariats in this that I was just like, damn, like how did her head not fall off? And what's amazing, it just keeps on going and going until like the closing sequence is amazing. And what I like about this is you see a different side of Asuka. So at this point, she's always been a bit more of a face, but in this one, you can tell Asuka's worried because she, after an Eclipse attempt she kicks out of, Ember goes for another one, but Asuka pulls the referee in front of her, and Ember jumps over the referee, gets her in the crossbody, but Asuka rolls through, and you think, shit, it's going to be this. And then it's just an amazing back and forth of pinning and submissions, and then it ends with Asuka playing possum, getting her in the Asuka lock, and it's over. It's just honestly fantastic. Like, I watched it again recently, I was like, damn, this is just sensational, and it has to be my number 1 pick. It's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of Asuka matches I think we've overlooked in this. Like, one that I've only just remembered about while you were talking about that one was the Fatal 4-Way with Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross.
Yes,
yes. That's another amazing Asuka. Like, Asuka is... She's so good and she's so prominent on Raw, but she's so underrated at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so weird. Like, it would take some... Like, Asuka's up there with, like, some of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I think we can all agree. Like, it's hard for her to have a bad match.
Oh, yeah.
Very hard. Even if it's not a great technical match, she will make it... Like, it'll be great character work, or... she'll find some way to make it great. Like, she is that good.
I'd love to see her have a whole run where she's basically Brock Lesnar of the women's division and just runs through, like I said, that nobody's ready for Asuka back again, runs through everyone, near on squash matches, but of course, very much like the NXT streak, there are times where you're like, oh God, is it going to end? Is it going to end? It might happen for her then to just, dominate, because she's got the charisma to keep it up. She's got work rates, moves that look like they kill her. She's one of the best strikers in wrestling, full stop.
Best. Would you say she is better than The Undertaker and she is the best pure striker in the WWE?
Well, she doesn't have Undertaker's UFC gloves, so... Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe she doesn't. Some of them gloves on.
She doesn't.
She's there.
She doesn't pull out the old school once in a while. So how could she be?
Not gonna lie, if I was in a situation where I was in, like, I don't know, like a bar fight or just a match in general, and I had to pick between the two of them, I'd pick Asuka over the Undertaker. She's nuts. She's fast. She's quick, and she's just like insane in the ring. Like, she could. I'm talking any taker. I'd still pick Asuka over Taker just because I love Asuka. She's not only my all-time favorite women's wrestler, but just one of my all-time favorite wrestlers in general. Like, and it was because of this run. Like, obviously, I think a lot of us, if you back then, I didn't know a lot about Japan and her stuff then, but when she came into NXT, it was immediate from the off that this is someone special, and she's gonna. And I think one of the reasons we forget about a lot of how many good matches she had in NXT is because following her, like, her main roster run hasn't been the best. I'd say the stuff she did last year when she got the title after Money in the Bank was really good, up until a point. And I think that's why, like, a lot of people forget about how brilliant her NXT run was. And then plus on top of that, like, following her run, that was when the women's revolution was in full swing. So you had a lot of good stuff on both NXT and the main roster. So we've been essentially spoiled. There's a reason why a lot of our picks are from the last decade. We've been absolutely spoiled.
Yeah. Like, Asuka, for me, was sort of like the female Finn Balor in terms of getting someone from Japan. Like, in terms of, like, their run in NXT.
Yeah, fully.
I think, for me, Finn Balor's had the best run in NXT of anyone they've, like, any indie star. Arguably Adam Cole, but I think for me it's Finn Balor.
I reckon if you count NXT by itself and forget about the main roster as an entity,
just NXT.
Yeah, I would. If that was the case, then I would argue Sami Zayn.
I think there's a lot of names for that, and I'd agree. Like even Shinsuke, when you think about like how monumental that what he was in NXT, like he took off and
but
huge.
The point I'm trying to make though is like Asuka she was the women's division.
She basically ruled the NXT women's division. Absolutely.
While Balor was there, he was the main event.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They were there at the same time. It was essentially they were the reason why they were one of the big reasons why NXT. Because again, the thing is with NXT, you'll have points where it's amazingly hot, but then because talent has to go, it'll dip it slightly. They were the reason why it went on a massive up again. Like they were the must-see attractions of it, and like you could argue both those faces could be a Mount Rushmore for NXT, for example. Like they helped carry that brand for like about a good solid 2 years.
After this, I'll tell you about an idea I've had.
Okay.
Also, might I also add, because of the match itself, a huge props to Ember Moon, who I still think is one of my favorite, also one of my favorite female wrestlers. Best finisher, I think it's certainly in my top 3 finishers.
It's definitely up there.
It's amazing, but I feel so sorry for her spine. Like that's gonna affect her down the line. I mean, we hear about Matt Hardy having his problems just from doing his leg drop, and she's doing a whole fucking segment to get to her landing.
I was going to say Jeff Hardy doing the swanton. Like he said, like when he first started, he was so careful to protect people. Now he doesn't give a shit. He's protected his back.
Yeah, bless him. I mean, the things they go through, and we're appreciative of.
Ember Moon and Asuka, especially like Ember Moon, one of the most underrated in terms of main roster.
For sure.
Like, she should have been up there with your Askas, with your Charlottes, Becky's, Sasha's, Bayley's, Alexa, is like the foundation in which the women's division is built on. But didn't see it.
Yeah, there you go. I agree.
I could make a joke, but then I would be up for libel.
Well, how about instead of a joke, Jace, why don't you just take us through your number 1 pick?
My number 1 pick is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte at Evolution.
Ooh.
To me, this was the moment that made Becky Lynch the man. Because this whole story leading up to Evolution had been... Because Becky had turned heel at this point. And it was all because Charlotte got added to the match with Carmella out of nowhere because it's Charlotte. Becky didn't like it. She attacked Charlotte. She gets the match, and then they're feuding over the title. I think Becky was the champion going into this, but there was just, even though like we know in reality that they're best friends. You could believe that they hate. You could believe they hated each other, and there was just some spots in this match. This should have been the main event of Evolution. But Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey ruined it because we can't have nice things. But some of the spots, like Becky doing the double leg drop off the ladder onto the announce table, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't long after that Charlotte had to take a lot of time off because she had a ruptured breast implant. Which again, this was like. Even the aftermath of this was great because Charlotte had put something on Twitter about Becky taking some time off or something, like a couple of weeks, and Becky had put on Twitter like, "I'm taking time off for what?" And then it was just a photo of Charlotte's boobs.
Becky during that the man phase, I was religiously just refreshing Twitter to see what beef she started.
She is so good. Like, she went to a UFC event wearing a shirt that says "I own Ronnie."
Yeah.
When she was feuding with Ronda Rousey.
Her stuff against
Like-
Ronda Rousey got super personal, and it was perfect. It was so good. She was living rent free inside Ronda Rousey's head. And Ronda Rousey was is one of the toughest people to ever go for MMA, male, female, or otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
so when Becky Lynch is just happily sat there in a little armchair, like just one tweet a day to get inside this MMA fighter's head and get them spinning, and I would say this is such a good pick because the man as a character. We speak about Asuka as a wrestler, right? We speak about Ember Moon as a wrestler. We speak about all these magnificent wrestlers. But at the end of the day, characters are what can make or break wrestling. The man has been, male or female, one of the most important characters of the decade, basically further than that even.
Yeah.
One of the most important characters ever.
Like, I think with the man as a character, unintentionally, this is the closest we've ever gotten to recapturing Austin.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Or
100%
completely
agree.
unintentionally. Because we know they try to do it with Ambrose, they try to do it with Reigns, they try to do it with Rollins, they try to do it with so many people, and it just doesn't work. But Becky made it work.
It's because WWE has this habit of obviously trying to force things like that, whereas again, like an Austin and a Lynch, it was pure organic. It's pure organic. It just happened. It developed naturally, and then they could obviously do what they wanted with it. Whereas the other things, it's always been a case of trying to force it to you.
There's Roman. Have Roman. with
Look at his arm tattoo.
I think something that doesn't hurt the fact that Becky was one of the people, was the only person who's ever managed to do it, is when Nia Jax fucked up her nose.
That itself was a star-making thing. Like,
because
yes.
Everyone remembers that photo of Austin in the sharpshooter, blood, and everyone remembers Becky on the stage, blood. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, again, we brought that up in our blood episode. That was exactly the point we made. Yeah. It's a star-making thing. Like, it definitely just makes someone look like an absolute badass when they just either, in Becky's case, bust the nose like around here, and she was just like, what of it? You know, it was just insane. But
but this match for me is what women's wrestling could be, should be, is.
Agreed.
Like, it's just two women at the top of their game kicking the living piss out of each other for our entertainment and just leaving everything. Like, they could not have given much more. I think they would have had colour in that match if they were allowed. But I think it's because it was the first all women's pay-per-view. They were told they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
They would have had colour. Definitely.
They would have.
No, I agree. I think it's an absolutely tremendous pick, and it's a very pivotal one on like how it just basically helped launch Becky to the moon. But yeah, solid pick, man. Scott, take us home.
So this was in Jace's honorable mentions, but he was I didn't want to interrupt, and I didn't want to fiercely disagree with it not being in the top 5. Because to me, on both a personal and on a personal and industry-wide level, on those two aspects, this was truly the thing that opened up people's eyes about women's wrestling. People who needed to hear this message. It's another NXT one. Surprise, surprise. NXT's women's division was and still is amazing. But this was like what kicked WWE into gear and set dominoes down to get to kind of where we are. I would say where we are now, but the main roster's taking a little bit of a but yeah, no. What gave us our stars? What gave us evolution and all that stuff? My number one is Sasha versus Bayley Iron Woman match. Because it's one of my favorite feuds ever. Mm-hmm. I know I'm using a lot of hyperboles here. I know, but I remember this was around about the time I was getting back into wrestling again, and that's and right after that I was like, "What's this NXT thing? Who's Cesaro? Who's Sami Zayn? Sami Zayn's got flags on his wrestling gear. That's mad." But then, like, I started, of course, watching NXT highlights, and of course, got into the network. And this was around the time when all the NXT takeovers started gaining traction. And this was like, it main evented the takeover. It ran for a full Iron Woman match's length. The build as well, where it was showing them training, them getting ready, the complete dichotomy of characters, the depth of the feud. These guys went through a trilogy, and not one match was similar to any before, apart from the fact that Sasha was a bastard and Bayley was everyone's favorite daughter's best friend. Like, they used Bayley's number one fan, and I hate forgetting her name. The one that was always front row.
Izzy, I think. Possibly?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They used her.
Izzy.
They used her as a narrative device. Like just Sasha making her cry. I forget if it happens in this match or their prior match, but Sasha making her cry was the best. Just such genius heel work. This was Sasha as a heel at its finest, and as a match, that it looked like they went an hour, but could still go. They weren't letting up by the end. They were still at full speed, and it's a testament to both of them as athletes, performers, you name it. And at the end of the day, like, there's the secret to women's wrestling that WWE discovered for a little bit, then immediately forgot, was something that Adam Blompier put very well. Just book them as blokes, and then you got women's wrestling.
See,
it's so easy.
I've been saying that for a long time. Like, it might be because I heard Adam Blompier say it. It's like, here's how you book a good women's feud. You write a feud for Roman Reigns, and you give it to Charlotte, you give it to Asuka, you give it to Nia Jax, give it to whoever.
Yeah.
Because, like, look at the work Roman Reigns is doing now. Like, that is amazing. And the problem with the women's division is, like, on the main roster, the main roster. It's that they still treat them like women.
Yeah, 100%.
They treat them like wrestlers.
Which is how it should be. I mean, you're right. It's one of those weird things because they'll have stories for them where it is like, oh, we're treating them as wrestlers now, but then you'll still get the absolute other side of it where they will still treat them as like women, and it's like old-fashioned kind of thing as well. It's like come on, man. Like, we're at the point now where it shouldn't just be male or female wrestlers; it should just be wrestlers, and that's how they should be booking it. Hence why, like, again, like, go back to my first pick with Miko Satomura and Pete Dunne. That doesn't feel like you would assume it was for an intergender thing. It feels like just two wrestlers going at it, and that's where the next step should be. Like, just have it as wrestlers, not one male or female kind of thing.
So Roman is
the only thing with.
Sorry.
I think the only thing with having intergender matches is, even though we all know that it's predetermined and what have you, there still needs to be an air of believability. So if you put someone like a Kairi Sane against the Big Show, like there needs to be an air of believability.
I'd still watch that.
Yeah,
I'd still watch that match.
but you can still book it in a way that it makes sense.
Yeah, you can still book it in a way that makes sense. But I mean, like if Kairi Sane was to go into the ring with Paul White, have a standard wrestling match and win clean as a whistle, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but then I take that idea, and what about
even when Rey Mysterio,
Austin Kong against Paul White?
See, that makes more sense.
Well, there you go. See, there you go. It still works. You just need to arrange it right.
No, but I mean, like, say when Rey Mysterio had matches against Big Show,
yeah,
he either lost or he won through shenanigans, even though he was always the face. It would have to be the same way.
Well, yeah, no. So I'm not saying it doesn't have to be like. You can still have it set up that way. So if you put Kairi Sane versus Big Show, of course, in that scenario, Big Show was probably going to win unless Kairi Sane had to cheat to win. You can do that. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, I think it can be done in the way that it's viewed as them being on the same playing field, and that includes that kind of booking where obviously certain women are definitely not going to beat the men, but just equally there'll be certain women that can beat the men. Is my point.
Oh yeah, like you put Asuka in the ring with the vast majority of the mid card, it's believable.
I'd even put some main eventers. She could hang with some of the big main eventers.
I was going to say I want Asuka Orton.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that actually. That I think she could easily hang with Randy, and it would still, and she could even feasibly beat him. I could honestly see that.
I'd even say Asuka. Get Asuka in there with Seth.
I was just thinking that one as well. Are you reading my mind? Like
she could catch a buckle bomb into an Asuka lock if she does like almost a kind of 180 upward flip around or whatever.
Right. You know WrestleMania 31? Was it 31 where Rollins cashed in?
Yes.
Yeah.
31.
Yeah. So Rollins' match with Orton, where he goes for the curb stomp, Orton gets up into the RKO.
Mm-hmm.
Same spot, but Rollins goes for the curb stomp. Asuka pops up into the Asuka lock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, perfect.
I need this in my life.
Yeah. Again, it just comes down to
Vince, I know you're listening.
it just comes down to it. And I think like I know a lot of people would obviously be very like, Like the thing is, you don't have to have every match in agenda. All I'm saying is there just needs to be more of it, and it can make sense. I mean, that's all I'm going to.
It's like the only thing with that though now is like I'm fully on board with intergender matches. I mean, we went to a North Shore. There was an intergender match, and it was one of the best matches of the night. But a problem with it is not from a wrestling standpoint. It's networks.
That is kind of the thing. I think that's why there is that still stigma. Yeah.
Because there is, like, looking back in the 90s, China was having matches with more men than she was women.
Yeah. Which was the Intercontinental Champion for a while.
Yeah. She was meant to be WWE Champion.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And nothing was said. But now, as society's moved forward and intergender violence has become much more, not so much frowned upon, but it's much more out in the open. The conversations happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like men who beat their wives are being named and shamed rightfully. Women who beat their husbands are being named and shamed rightfully. They don't want to portray that on television.
True. I mean, it's going to depend. I mean, if you give it the athletic spin on it, which wrestling has, I guess you can navigate that. But I do understand that it is always going to be a controversial topic because they don't want to maybe show like they're being like not like an advocate. Glorify it is the right word. I mean, it could be a way of breaking it down, but I mean, I think you're right. I think it's a bigger conversation that even we could have for a full episode. I think it's right there. But anyway, That was a tremendous final pick, Scott. Thank you very much for that last one. And I think that'll wrap us there, lads. I think there was some solid choices. But yeah, if you want to find us, obviously we're over at the Bear Hug Club Podcast, Facebook and YouTube, Bear Hug Club Pod, Instagram, and Bear Hug Club Twitter. As previously mentioned, go check out our website, which is bearhugpod.wixsite.com/bearhugclouds. That's the screen. I'll put it in the description. I am going to get that name fixed. I'm getting to it. Essentially, like as I said there, we have our matches you need to see section there, and we're on stuff all the time, and all of our top 5 picks will go into there. So if you want to go refresh yourself on what they were, read a little bit about it, I will be getting that up as soon as possible. But until then, we'll catch you all again next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye.